righty, the official Israel Foreign Ministry X account just slammed Mamdani. All right, here's the quote. 2 years after Hamas launched its barbaric massacre against Israel and the Jewish people, Mamdani has chosen to act as a mouthpiece for Hamas propaganda, spreading Hamas's fake genocide campaign by repeating Hamas's lies, his excuses, terror, and normalizes anti-Semitism. He stands with Jews only when they are dead. Shameful. That's from the Israeli Foreign Ministry website. But if you ask me, Mamdani deserves every letter of it. Anyway, joining us now, Lydia Moynihan, New York Post correspondent, Emily Compagno, the great Emily Compagno, co-host of Outnumbered on Fox News, author of the great book Under His Wings. Lydia, thank you. I hope you'll come back 25 or 30 times more.
Be waiting with bated breath.
What do you make of this story? Mamdani, I mean, he knows the whole world is watching. He says this stuff. He praises Hamas. Today is the day of the awful murdering of the Jewish people. I mean, and he is the leader in the polls for the New York mayoralty. You cover the beat in New York for the Post. I mean, what am I supposed to make of this?
It's so brazen. You know, there's no even hint of trying to appeal and win over those voters. I think that's what's so shocking about all of this. And in that statement that Mamdani made, supposedly commemorating the second year anniversary of 10/7, he doesn't mention Jews. He doesn't mention any of the things that you think he would. But of course, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's not even the concerning part. Of course, he's been so clear that he wants to divest from any sort of Israeli company. He said he's going to arrest Netanyahu if he ever comes to New York while he's mayor. And of course, bear in mind, there's a lot of bad people who are part of the UN. Lots of officials from China, North Korea. Doesn't care about them. He wants to go after Netanyahu. Has refused to condemn globalizing the Intifada. Has questioned whether there should even be a Jewish state. So this is really just the tip of the iceberg. And I think it's so shocking that this is happening in the place where there are more Jews than any other place outside of Israel.
Yes.
But I think that the statement that the state of Israel just issued, frankly, that's going to further embolden, I think, some of his supporters who are extremely anti-Semitic.
Who are these people? You know, was Mark Levin? No, it was the pollster Mark Penn. Okay, really a very good pollster, and he worked for Bill Clinton years ago, but he runs the Harris Harvard poll now. Mamdani's not even a Democrat. He's a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. I don't know what he was even doing in the primary. That's just a point I wanted to make. But what was a tiny minority has now become the majority in New York, perhaps a spokesperson for all this hatred in New York, and given the ethnic makeup of New York. It's astonishing to me.
And I think no less appalling is the fact that, so we see the state of Israel responding right to his comments, and rightly so, because we are talking about a mayoral candidate for New York City, right? The largest and arguably the most impactful city in the United States. So why do we have the front runner for mayor be a neophytic, communist, anti-Semite, anti-Israel sort of child that comes out of the woodwork because he's a TikTok influencer, right? Like, there's no parity there. And it's so disturbing to me that more people in the Democrat Party, which to your point is not his, that they haven't come out and say, we absolutely denounce the anti-Semitism. I spoke to, and you've interviewed a ton of people on this subject. I spoke to a Midtown Jewish business owner, multi-generational, has been here for a long time. But he said, look, as a Jew, I am terrified for the potential. He said, I have never been more frightened or frightened at all to raise my kids in this country until now, let alone the business and the economic devastation that this will wreak. And I'm not quite sure when we have at our peak, you know, in the presidential election, we have 60% of New Yorkers turning out to vote. But in the mayoral elections, only 23 to 24%. So what we need to do is galvanize the actual New Yorkers, not the followers of Mamdani, not the TikTokers, but the actual New Yorkers, to rise up and say, not in my town, not in my city, not in my country will we be a global intifada-loving, anti-Semitic festering ground for communism, because this person is a joke, but I think he's more frightening in his anti-Semitic potential.
I mean, it's basically hate speech. It's basically hate speech, and should be labeled as such. I think that in a way, he's lucky because he's running against some inept people. No one's really called him out in a consistent way, like just what the Israeli Foreign Ministry said. No one's really hammered away. Now, Curtis Lewa may get him during the debates, okay? That's a possibility.
Next week, yep.
Andrew Cuomo has run a terrible campaign. He's afraid of his own shadow, and I mean, it's almost a hopeless thing. There are 4 million people who are registered to vote in this city. I don't know where they're going to be at, but they shouldn't allow this. The other thing is, look, Mamdani, I mean, his economics are bad. He wants to tax everybody. We're all moving to Texas and Florida. The stock exchange, Dallas Stock Exchange is opening up. Miami's already got a stock exchange. John Katsimatidis said the other day, I guess, who was it? Was somebody who was on his program? Oh, so anyway, J.P. Morgan has more employees in Texas than they do in New York, so we're losing all that. Mamdani doesn't care. He wants to tax well-to-do people, white people in particular. He said that. The other one now, Lydia, Zohran Mamdani on the failures of the U.S. school system as he tries to nix New York City's gifted and talented programs. This is our friend Miranda Devine's column. Terrific. The people who will be hurt the most are the middle and lower income people who can't afford private schools, but these gifted and talented programs were very helpful to them. These are people, working folks, people working menial jobs, 2 jobs a day, both parents. I mean, these are and he is turning his back on that because the left-wing teachers union is opposed to it. I mean, this is a farce also.
And I'm glad that you're honing in on this because we talk a lot about the tax base and the fact that wealthy people are going to be fleeing, and that's absolutely true. We already are seeing this sort of Mamdani migration, people looking at potentially leaving. But I'm not concerned about them because guess what? They can absolutely leave. They have a lot of financial dependence. It's the working class people, and this was borne out by the data. If you looked at who voted for Mamdani in the Democratic primary, it was overwhelmingly people who were making over $200,000. People making less than that overwhelmingly voted for Andrew Cuomo. And that's because Mamdani is advocating these kind of luxury beliefs that you can really only afford to care about if you're a rich person. And the people who are working class, they're going to be disproportionately hurt by this. Of course, Mamdani went to a very expensive private school, I think north of $60,000 a year, elementary, all the way up. And it's the people who don't have access to that who aren't going to have access to these gifted and talented programs.
Socialists supposed to help the working class. This socialist and most of his, shall I say, peers in the U.S. Congress are damaging the working class because they don't help. Look, the guy who's got the support of the working folks in this country is Donald Trump, who is a capitalist billionaire who cares for them. This kid is as phony as a $3 bill. I mean, that's really this long and the short. He isn't helping low-income people. He isn't helping working folks. He isn't helping anybody that socialists claim to help, Emily.
No, and he continues, too, to reference the billionaire donors of Donald Trump, not realizing that the majority of the donations were actually from working class and small dollar denominations. So he's incorrect in that way. He's a total hypocrite, yes. And Miranda Devine put it beautifully when she said the failure of the public school education of minority underprivileged is the greatest civil rights scandal of our time. Right. And people like him who sail in with their rich parents and their private schools and their Chelsea $2 million apartments, lambasting everyone else but him, totally concretizes that class system that now we have since everyone left. We lost $24 billion in tax-assessed income in 1 year alone because everyone fled from COVID, and now everyone's going to flee again. So him doing joke math and say we're going to save $8 billion on this free stuff because he's never taken a math class in his life or lived in the real world will not help us. So again, I fear for us economically. I fear most for the anti-Semitism, but I'm not quite sure why there's not a greater galvanizing of anti-Mamdani to make sure he doesn't set foot in that office, guys. Is it because no one's left? Because Cuomo is doing the same thing. He's alienating a lot of folks, saying, oh, not Donald Trump, not me. No one is sticking up for New Yorkers. No one who purports to represent the minorities and the underprivileged and the working class is actually representing them other than Donald Trump. So we need that Batman. Gotham City needs Batman.
Trump did very well in certain precincts in New York City, just like in New Jersey.
Points towards Trump in the last election.
We'll kind of wait and see. Anyway,
the great realigning
our fingers.
Lydia Moynihan of the Post, thank you ever so much. Emily Compagno, thank you. Talking to me, it's just wonderful.